My name is Ndegen Jobe. I am the Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. For me, democracy is the will of the people. Being in the government, being in the decisions they take, being the institutions of the government, the judiciary, the legislation, and the executive. It's what they do daily in the machinery of government that represents the views and the aspirations of the masses. For me, that is democracy. When you talk about the governance process, we are talking about one deciding who represents us and deciding how they should represent us. So if we are the marginalized group and most of the decisions, laws and policies that are enacted are less of in our favor, we should be able to be informed, but we should be able to also be there when decisions are made as to who will represent us, to make sure the person who will represent the people in those seats will be somebody who have the interest of the minority in head and at heart. So that is why it is very important that minority groups such as young people, such as people with disabilities, participate in all levels of the electoral process, being it pre, post, and during elections. Challenges of young political participation, most especially with young women, come in different folds. One is structural, 2 is cultural, 3 is economic, and 4, it has to do with our social norms and values. We have a lot of educated young women who can go into politics and make a difference, and they have the confidence. But what happens when we come into politics? It comes with criticisms, it comes with insults, it comes with people reminding you that you have better things to do in your life, such as marriage, such as, hustling to live a life. We all know the Gambian young person is very poor. Yeah, we are poor young people, and politics need resources, especially financial resources, and that we can't have access to. If you look at the African Youth Charter, the Article 11 of the African Youth Charter, which was proudly ratified and signed in Banjul, empowers young people both financially, economically, and even politically to be able to go through the political processes and make sure we fully participate. But what happened? Most of these laws were signed and ratified, and they are even domesticated, but they are forgotten. So young people are left with no choice but to be behind and do the clapping, do the mobilization and all that, and not really comes into politics. And when it comes to the cultural aspect, we are made to believe that old age comes with wisdom. We are made to believe that old age comes with righteousness. So when it comes to leadership, we are made to take the back seat and let the older ones take the leadership position, even though we do the chunk of the work that brings about the success to those positions. So it comes at different levels, like I said. It's structural, it's cultural, but more so it's financial. Well, I cannot tell for a fact, but with past elections and with experience, being a person that participates very well in all levels of the electoral process, I can tell as a people, it is not about young people. As a people, we are more into party politics than manifesto-based politics, like base voting and base candidate selections. That is us as a people, and we are more into Kila Faral, this is my candidate, then this is what he has to put, that this is what he has on the plate for me. The usage of the internet comes down to personal responsibility. I think most of the time it becomes very unfair for people to say the way young people use the internet is not very good. It comes to personal responsibility. If I am responsible enough to oblige myself not to spread hate speech on the internet, I think I have fulfilled that responsibility, and it is up to the other person, the next person, to fulfill their responsibility. It is a great media that we could use to spread love, to spread peace, to spread development agendas, just like the National Youth Parliament, what we used to do. I think this year recently, our social media handles have been our power. We use it to communicate, we use it to advocate, we use it to mobilize, we use it to do a lot of things, even to make sure the world hears what NYP is doing. it can be used in a very positive way, but again, you cannot control. Like I said, it's about personal responsibility. With population and a lot of developments that comes over the centuries, we cannot have direct democracy. So what we have is representative democracy. And that means we cannot all sit in the National Assembly, we cannot all sit on the executive table, we cannot all sit at the judiciary. So we represent people who will day-to-day manage our affairs into those institutions and structures. So it is important as a people we have in place mechanisms in which we select, elect and nominate people who sits there on our behalf. That is the importance of elections. It is about us as people coming together and coming out to select our representatives, those we think will hold our interest at the judiciary table, will hold our interest at the National Assembly, and will hold our interest at the judiciary. That is why it is very important to have elections and periodically, so that at some point, if we are not satisfied with the person we put there, we have the opportunity and the choice to change. Or if we are satisfied, we still have the opportunity and the choice to maintain. Yeah, elections reminds leaders that there is another opportunity for the people. Like when you are elected in the first 5 years, for you to serve the 5 years, it becomes like, even if you lose focus, through the second, third year, you remind yourself in the next 2 years there is elections and the people have a choice. So it levels you back to track to know that if I don't do well, if I don't listen to my people, and if I don't act according to their desires and aspirations, they have a choice in the next 5 years, and it might not be me. For now, democracy do angale lu ñew final destination. Comme nekut foy ega nga tok nga noppalako. It's a process. Comme development nu mo ñëwé, comme xarale yi beesi ni ñoo comme aduna bi nu mo soppé ko, every day dafa am lu ci yokku, wala su ci dara yokku sa yu ci nekkon dafa am nu ñoy tédé lo xamné nekkut non lañ téré ci at yu passé. Comme centuries ago, let me say decades ago, maybe in the 80s, what democracy might mean, what human rights might mean, or it still means the same, but the perspective people have about human rights, of course, changed in the recent years. You have the legalization of the LGBT rights and many other things coming in place. So, lolu moy democracy. Comme nu yefi tede du ko tedate, te du nekk loo xam ne dañuy wax ne excellence démocratie process la. Yenn saa dinañ toog ba comfortable ñu ne aspect démocratie bi de comme ñu wax ne right to freedom of speech, comme am nga sañ-sañ pour wax sa kàddu ak wax sa gom-gom ak sa gis-gis. Suñ demee ne ñun de egganeen foofu noonu si beneen minute bi am na mun nañu am ku toog mu yàqa ko. So da ngay gis ne foog ñu delluwaati ñu fàttale ko wante ne am nañ right bii nii ñu fàttale ko wante lii de si démocratie la bokk ñun. So it's a process. If I may take it away, democracy is a process. Sometimes we will have it break down, but we need to rebuild. And of course, it is working for us. Looking at our political history as a people, democracy is working for us. 50 years ago, when African nations were given independence, Gambia was one of the nations celebrated for having democracy, for having multi-party democracy. And it excelled for many years. And at some point we crumbled. But the beauty is, as a people, we have gained our strength and confidence to say we want our democracy back. And we did it. This 5 years has been challenging for us, and the bar is going up and down. But there is the zeal, and there is the love that we want this Gambia to be a democratic country. And for me, that's it. That's the deal. It's about the people wanting it. Hanga su fekkoon even am nañ democracy te nguur bi ñoo wax ne am nañ democracy and they impose it and people want otherwise, it was going to be difficult. But even a government buñ munta am, ak no munta tëddee, ak no munta def, so far as the people want democracy, it is going to happen. There will be the struggle, but we will reach there surely. It's because of our political history. Most of us believe it is the executive that controls the legislature. So if you vote, so vote a president already. You are satisfied with whatever comes in the legislature, because it is the president that decides at the end of the day. While loolu noonu is because of our political history that informs. Two, it's about civic awareness. Ñu bari si ñun si goxe xamuñ dëgga lan moo nekk wareefi suñ député yi si ñun xamuñ ko. Ñu bari si ñun dañ foog ne wareefi suñ député yi si ñun moo nekk iseen ñu tali, iseen ñu ndox, iseen ñu courant. Waaw loolu yëpp si la bokk, waaye si ban anam ba tey loolu moo des. Lu bari si iya bi suñ MPs yi dañ dee busy trying to make laws, interpret laws, do debates, budget. So kooku noonu du am jot every time pour askan bi mu gis ko. War na su fekkee even benn yoon si at bi nga dellu back si sa constituency, even su fekkee benn ndaje nga koo def, nga dajale sa constituency nga wax leen loo nekkee woon si néegi député bi, mu nekk si loi mu ñàkk a nekk si loi, wareef la sa diggante ak nit comme noo ko doon defee si campagne bi, nga mun a dellu at bu nekk nga wax leen noo leen toogalee si pencum réew bi. Wareef la si député yi. Ñetteel bi fàttelu la war rek la, parce que su fekkee ne nit yi votal nen la, war na every time nga dellu si ñoom nga wax leen, because it's a mission like you take together as a constituency. So it's important periodically nga dellu si ñoom nga wax leen how far you have been in that mission. But we have seen, like even during the constitution we want campaign, when we publish some of the numbers of some MPs, even though some people acted inappropriately, di dem di leen saaga, but some become offended that their numbers were shared. And how do you expect your constituents to reach out to you when they don't have your number? When you don't even have a proper office in your constituency. Your office, most of our MPs, their offices are the bureaus of their political parties. What if I belong to a different political party? How will I be able to reach you? So these are all problems from both sides, as well as misconceptions, as well as, threats our political history left behind. The reason why voter apathy is a threat to democracy is because, let's say in the beginning, we said we all matter, and we are all counted. Like we said, we all matter, we are all Gambians, and we are all counted. Yes, we are all Gambians, so you matter. So let's come voting day. Let's come the day that we should make decision, that we actually matter, that we actually counted. And some of us decided we are not going to make a difference. And to some level, yeah, it is about personal responsibility, but to other aspect, we know it was about also the environment in which we all lived in. But like you said, the number that do not vote could have made a difference. And for me, it doesn't matter where you vote. It is about personal choice. It is the reason. Every one of us has a reason why you vote, whom you vote for in office. But just vote. Vote for the person you think holds your interest in head and at heart. And then it will make a difference. Might be most of those who do not vote, were actually going to vote for a difference. And we have seen what happened in the 2016 elections. Because the gap wasn't very huge, claims start to come up that, numbers were mixed up here and there. But if all Gambians voted and there was a huge difference, then for me, that argument would have come in the first place. But because the number was very small, and everybody can claim that, it is, miswritten here and there and all that, we will make a difference if we all come out and vote. And we will be represented. That is actually when we will be represented. For me, it doesn't make sense after elections we started saying, we are not represented, it is not our will, it is not our interest. It is about us going out in our numbers, voting, to make sure at the end of the day, whatever decisions come, we'll be able to come out and say, this is not what we voted for. With experience in civic education, I think there's still a huge gap that needs fixing. we still have a very huge gap that we need to fill when it comes to civic education. People don't understand their rights. Some know the basics, but we don't understand really the depth of it. Our rights, our responsibilities, the responsibility of the president, the responsibility of the. Sometimes the president will do something, and some people will say, he's acting beyond his powers. When it is us as a people who enshrine in our constitutions those rights we accorded to the president. But we don't know. That's why at the end of the day you have push and pull there. So there's still civic education in that aspect that needs to be done. Yes, we have some that understand. But like I said, there's still more work that needs to be done when it comes to civic education as to the roles and responsibilities of the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. The moment you are into politics, key politician becomes your name. You will no more hear Umi. Key politician becomes your name. And people attributed you to a set of dishonest people. And it's a problem. That's one. Two, it's economy. Bala nga tal politics feka comme sa biir ak sa biir njaboot dañ fees. So daily, people are more into how I survive and how my family survives than politics. Because to people, whoever you voted for or however much you participated won't make a difference to your livelihood. So loy tal moy sa dunda ak sa dundi njaboot ne politics itself. Moo tax ñu bari duñ dee sawar ci politics. Ñaareel bi, it's the violence that comes with it. I think honestly, as a people, we are not very much prepared to talk about religion and politics honestly and openly without putting our emotions to it. That is us as Gambians. And I think that is a great deal we owe to the younger generation to prepare them for that. Da nga dee gis ñun Gambians soo bëggee jot xolam waxal against party bu mu support wala nga wax ngay jéema càmbar diinaam si nga dee jot xolam. So we are not prepared for it. It is our culture that do not prepare us for these things. So moo tax ñu bari they shy away from politics. Moo tax ñu bari duñ dee bëgg a dugg ci politics because ñu bari their peace of mind is more important, what they put in their stomach is more important to them. Omi soo gisee jigéen lu tax mu important ci démocratie ci suñu electoral process moo nekk benn because we form 55% of the population, and as of 2016, 58% of registered voters were women. Moo tax suñu waxee ne jigéen ñi duñ dee génn during elections, always I stand to contest it. Jigéen ñi ñoo dee gën a génn during campaign, ñoo dee gën a génn during elections pour vote. Lan kañ moo ñu dese moo nekk fuñ dee toog pour make decisions pour political party pour dëkk bi foofu lañ du toog. Gis neen ci National Assembly bi out of 53 representatives we only have 5, and 2 were even nominated by the president. And I think for that we are lucky that we get very strong women representatives in the National Assembly, so much that when they shake the parliament, you have the feeling that our number is big when actually it is not. Actually, that is the power of women. You look at only the 5 people there and the difference bu nekk di def ci assembly bi. Nga laaj sa boppa suñ amoon at least 30% of women representatives, what will be the difference in the parliament? Affaire bi nekkut si ne góor yi suñu fa toogalee dineen waxal ñëpp déedéet. Dafa fekk ne ñun ñoo xam suñ soxla moo we can relate more. Góor yi mun nañoo xam seen soxla waaye nuñ foog ne noonu la mun a saafarayee ak ñun foogee ne noonu lañ ko mun a saafarayee mun naa nekk two quite different things. Loolu moo tax mu important pour suñ representation and suñ participation at all levels of the electoral process, but at all levels of the government. Voting a president is different from voting your parliamentary member. Like they will serve you different functions. So that's why it's important to vote at all elections, even at local government elections, to make sure you vote for your councillors, to see that you're well represented. Every day we are crying about the development issues at our area councils. But what have we done about it as a people first? How many of us go out to vote for these councillors? and we give a specific number to decide who our councillors becomes. And at the end of the day, we say, Kinga hamne munta review proposals. But where were you when people were voting for him or her? So that becomes the problem. Let's all go out and vote at all elections to ensure that the representatives who are going to sit there tomorrow, it will be our decision and it will be our aspirations and our will that will make them occupy those positions. And when it comes to the issue of women, it is not only important, it is very important and very paramount that we have a lot of women representatives at all levels of government. We are not pleading. It's a right, it's a duty for every person in the state to ensure that women are equally represented. Sometimes I'm sorry for the word, but it pissed me off when I see politicians or people bragging that I have added this percentage of women to the judiciary, I have added this percentage of women to the executive. It is not a favor that you're doing for women, it's a duty. If we are able to be 57%, 58% of registered voters as of 2016, we should be able to occupy 58% at all levels of governance in this country. I don't see any reason why. We are educated. Women of this country are very educated. You will not know until you meet them at international level. You see, like sometimes you ask yourself, where were these women? It's because they were not the opportunity wasn't created at home. They go out to look for those opportunities. And now they are serving very important positions. We can have them home. We can groom this young generation of young women leaders so that the space will be created for them at home to serve. I think we are less appreciated at home, to be honest. And I think we can do a lot better. When we have female candidates, let's support them to the max to make sure they occupy offices and also help them. And I break some cultural barriers to see women to come up. It's very disheartening when they have to remind you that you have to get married, you have to bear children. I think sometimes you have to be extra strong enough to push up those barriers to stand and say, it is my life and I'm going to decide how I live it. It is my country and I'm going to do what it takes to serve it. We have seen many of my generation get into politics and pull back because it needs extra energy that you cannot hold when you are not financially capable. And like most of us people, like me, we are going to school, we are not very financially stable, and we have other aspirations. And we are in a country that it is not safe at this stage to sit and say, I have political ambitions, which of course I do. I'm serving the National Youth Parliament for 3 years, which is used to be strictly apolitical when you're serving the National Youth Parliament, which I am very much adhering to. But of course, I have political ambitions. When I finish my 3 years that I'm serving Parliament, I am going into politics. And when I get into politics, I will not wait for anybody to say there is space or the chairs are full on the table. I am coming with my folded chair. And wherever there is room in this space, I am occupying and make sure my voice and my will is heard and considered. And we have many young women, but like we said, it is the conditions, the financial conditions, and many other things that comes in place. You are there, you are active, and somebody just come and pull you out and say, you have your education, you have your future, how will your children see you? What will be the narrative? And then they really get into your head and you decided to relax back. Yeah, but we will get there. For me, I am sure we will get there. We have a lot of young women with the will and the zeal too. And we will be a generation of difference. That I am sure of. Young people of this country are very, very poor. We don't own lands. We don't own businesses. We don't we don't own the fat bank accounts. We don't hold positions that brings money. We are poor. So if this country can strive economically to favor young people, for me that is my dream Gambia. If this country can be so stable democratically to hold every Gambian's aspiration, will and view. For me, that's the Gambia I dreamt of. If we can have a peaceful Gambia where we can sit despite our differences, to sit and have honest conversations and constructive conversations that will bring benefit to this country, for me, that is my dream Gambia. I want a Gambia where I can sit with people I have different views with and talk to them, and it won't result to violence. I want a Gambia where I can sit with a person from a different religion, and we scrutinize and relooked at the position of religion in this country, and I won't be judged and I won't be frowned upon, and it won't result to violence. That is the Gambia I dreamt of. A Gambia where women have space, where women are given their due, where what we represent in population numbers, what we represent in voting numbers, we also represent when it comes to representation. A Gambia where young women are given the space, where safe spaces are created for young women to excel at all levels, be it in the government, be it in civil society, be it everywhere. That is the Gambia I dreamt of. And I think as a young person, I bear that responsibility with every other young person to make sure we create that present for us, but also that future for the younger generation. I think most importantly, women representation at all levels. Do you know why? Because when we sit there, we have the power. And then we can change all these things you listed. We can make a difference to maternal mortality because we will be there to make the decisions. We will make the difference to more women representation because we will be there, we have the voice and we have the power. So for me, the first step, the first stage is to be equally represented at all levels of government, at all levels, institutions and branches of government. That is where the change begins. And when we have that, the rest will slide smoothly and will just be magical. Like they will happen automatically because it will be about us, for us, by us.
Use that word.
Bulen comme waruñoo tàyyi si démocratie sax te dañ war a wax ku nekk bu leen tàyyi si démocratie because tàyyi pour ñu tàyyi si démocratie nekkut pour suñ interest because démocratie nekkut lu nit di tiba mu jox ñu comme suñ àq la suñ yelleef la comme ay doom aadama ñu dëkk si environment bu am démocratie comme waruñoo tàyyi pre-elections pour ñu gis ne political party ñu support seen manifesto yi génn nañ ñu read ko waruñoo tàyyi pour gis ne IEC put nañ mechanisms in place pour ñu mun a register to vote waruñoo tàyyi pour gis ne ñaax neen képp ku nekk suñ boor pour mu uti voters card pour vote waruñoo tàyyi si waxtaanee affaire yi jàmm ak waxtaanee affaire yi élection ak waxtaanee njëriñi démocratie suñ ñëwee si wàllum élection waruñoo tàyyi pour dem taxaw hardline bi pour vote waruñoo tàyyi pour jiital suñ njaboot suñ mag ak suñ rakay pour ñu dem taxaw si line bi pour vote waaye tamit waruñoo tàyyi suñ voté ba pare ñoo ñëpp ñu mun a toog suñ biir kër yi ñu xaar IEC ñu announce waruñoo tàyyi after election pour ñu toog ñu gis ne ñun Gambien yi kuñ votal kooku hand over nañ ko power te toog na State House pour ñu saaf suñ interest waaye tamit waruñoo tàyyi for the next 5 years ñu gis ne kuñ votal pour mu toog kooku de si suñ soxla waaye tamit si suñ éene si suñ àq ak suñ yelleef lay doxalee dëkk bi loolu moo nekk si waruñoo tay si démocratie mu nekk balaa election ak even after election pour gis ne mu nekk président mu nekk suñ ndaw yuñ tànn pour ñu toog si néegi député yi ne buñ gis ne buñ tàyyi ne def neen ñun luñ leen fa tegee mu dem ba si gis ne su amee lu war a xew si pencum réew bi ku nekk nga sol sa dàll dem seeti sa député wax ko yow noo gisee ak noo ko buggee as a people pour mu représenter leen noonu loolu dafa dem si bi loolu dafa dox ba comme buñ tàyyi si démocratie dafa dem bi foofu comme waruñoo tàyyi